Hello, everyone, and welcome to this presentation by us, me, Alex, founder of First Steps Legal, which is a starting legal consultancy that works with space startups and small businesses. Today, we're going to be talking about how to run a space business according to people who are already running their own space businesses. The first question that we often get asked by students at the NSSC and other student-targeted events is like how to get to space. Now, if you want to go to space, literally, the European Space Agency is hiring astronauts. First time for 11 years, go check their website, see what the requirements are so you can get ready faster than everybody else and you can apply for the next class of astronauts. Or you can get into the Citizen Initiative run by SpaceX and hopefully get a ticket. That's another option. If you want to run a business into the space industry and you don't necessarily want to go to space physically, listen to this presentation. Maybe you'll be learning something today. So we asked 100 space company founders. We are working towards that goal. At the moment, we've asked 50 companies from all around the world. We've interviewed them on Zoom since the beginning of lockdown, and we managed to derive some of the data about what is the more valuable skills to have, what to spend money on, what not to spend money on, and just basically give a bit of a guide. Hopefully at the end, we will be producing a space startup guide, which will be a free ebook that will be freely distributed to people like you, so you get a better idea how space startups function if you want to have your own. Now, there is a general preconception that if you want to have a space business, you must study engineering or physics. That is partially true. The majority of the people that we've interviewed came from an engineering background, that being electrical, mechanical, space, all of the different types of engineering. However, almost half of them did not come from an engineering background, and science and business were actually the exact same numbers of participants. So it's really important to have your business size sorted out, and you don't necessarily need to be an engineer to have a space startup. Some of the people that we've interviewed came from a legal background, like myself, or psychologists, artists. There have been people that changed careers as well. They worked in a completely different field, and then they changed to space. So you don't necessarily have to be an engineer or start with space. You can always change it and come back to space if that's your passion. Now, the top skills to have, we asked people, what do you think are the top skills for a space entrepreneur? And the number one that came up was believe in yourself and staying positive. Now, I expected people to tell us like technical things, what do you need to know, like mathematically speaking, but no, actually, this was the most common answer. And you will need to believe in yourself because this is a marathon and it's a hard journey. So you should not give up even when it feels hard, because there will be moments when it feels hard. Second one that came up quite often is communication, and communication can be interpreted in many different ways. Some people talked about it as a way of storytelling, because you will need to translate your ideas to people that are not necessarily familiar with space as a field. So you will need to be able to communicate with people and also communicate to your team. So interpersonal communication came second with the most responses, second most responses. So I would say don't ignore that. It's probably really important to be able to communicate your ideas clearly. The third one came perseverance. Now that is kind of obvious. As I said before, this is a marathon, not a sprint. So you will need to be tough when things are low and ride the wave when they're up. So the honorable mention here is technical knowledge. If you're going to do a space business, it's probably a good idea to know what you're talking about. That being whatever field you come from, you need to know your bits and bobs. So that came forth with the most answers out of all the 52 people that we've interviewed, 50 companies. The other thing that we asked them, where did they look for advice and information when they were doing the research for their businesses? Number one response was events. So good choice of being here today and tomorrow. Events are directly related to the second choice, which is experts. These are the most common channels where people got advice of where to start, what to look for, how to go on about things. So keep going to events. If anything COVID is good for is that all the events that are normally on the other side of the world or are kind of expensive for students, a lot of them are actually free, including this one. So it's probably worth searching for events where you can speak to people. Get your LinkedIn. LinkedIn is an amazing tool to communicate with experts while they're speaking at the conference or after the conference, or just liking their posts from time to time so they don't forget you exist. The other option that came up was literature, technical literature, reading technical papers, knowing what you're talking about, or you can always Google it. So the internet is the most powerful tool we have on our hands today. So all of these things can be found on the internet. Google is your friend, so is Google Scholar. Use it wisely. We asked the people also about the hard bits. Not everything will be, rainbows and roses. So the top number one response was actually paperwork and bureaucracy. We as lawyers are working to fix that. The other thing that came up was technical complexities. So a lot of the times you will think you know something, and when you test it, it doesn't work. And that is pretty much everywhere, right? That being coding, that being engineering, or even law, sometimes your solutions will just not work. The other thing that people were pointed is lack of money or lack of funding. If you have a startup or any startup, you're likely to be bootstrapping at some point. So all of these three things will cost time, and time is the most frustrating thing. People are surprised how long things take. This is why we go back to the previous point, perseverance. If you have a goal, go for it. Don't give up. We ask people for the best pieces of advice that they've received or that they have to give. So all these things came up in interviews. So I do think they apply both to the technical and to the business side. Think more about business. If you're calling yourself an entrepreneur, you need to think about the numbers. They have to add up. The finance sheet have to work. Otherwise, you're just a scientist. And if you're working with a university or an R&D project, good for you. That's not exactly entrepreneurship, though. Now, be careful about your team. Be critical of what people tell you, and don't be afraid of the mountain of problems you have to deal with. Break them into manageable pieces. And again, don't give up. There will be sleepless nights, but they will be worth it at the end. The highs are really high, and they do actually kind of, compensate for the lows when you do have your own startup. Last but not least, the team situation. We need your help. I am personally learning Python at the moment because I need a more sophisticated way to analyze the data we just gave you. So if you know a bit of Python, I will be very grateful to hear from you, and we can pay you in beer, love, just for like an hour of your time. Come and we'll be happy to talk to you. We're also looking for a legal intern. If you are in your second or third year of uni and you have already covered contract law and hopefully some business law, we would love to hear from you. You can get commission on working with real clients and bringing new clients on board. So if you are a law student that wants to get into the space industry, hit us up. Like, we might have something for you. For everybody else that likes to write, read, likes to create things, we are looking for creatives, people to write blogs on our website, express their opinions about the space industry, helping space startups on a daily basis, helping with all the art that you see has been created by artists specifically for us. So if you have a project that you would like to work on and can't find a venue, talk to us. We might be able to help. And last but not least, come to our virtual stand. We will be happy to answer any questions that you have. Like, there are no impossible questions for us. You can hit us up on social media or visit our website as well. Some of the links on our virtual stand will be referring to things that we've used in this presentation. So go have a look. Thanks a lot for your time, and I am really looking forward to hearing from all of you. Thank you.